why you should be ready to bunker in. Hey everybody, this is Michael with Asymmetrical Preparedness. We talk about a lot of stuff in the prepper community. People talk about bugging out all the time. Also bugging in, aka hunkering down, bunkering in, staying put, locking yourself down. Why is it important to prepare for that? First off, is because the other option is not a very good one. Bugging out should be a backup plan, not a primary plan, unless maybe you live in a really urban, built-up area like the city. Then yeah, you may want to get out. But for most people, bugging in, staying put, bunkering down where you're at is a better choice, a better situation. You know the area better. You're going to be able to, hopefully better able to secure the area because you're familiar with it. You're familiar with the terrain. You're familiar with what looks right, what is normally there, what would be out of place, those kind of things. That's why I talk all the time about like scouting, patrolling your areas, keeping an eye out, even if you're in an urban area or a suburban area, throwing on a backpack and going for a ruck. You know, it doesn't have to be a tactical backpack, no tactical gear, just normal clothing where basically, you know, you're going for a walk. It looks like you're just going out for a walk. But being observant, keeping an eye on everything. That's why I advocate that. Bunkering in is going to be important if things get worse out there. Having the ability to secure your immediate area, hopefully maybe a little bit further out area if things go bad, because you don't want, if there is going to be a fight or something like that, bad guys, whatever the situation may be, you don't want to fight them from your driveway, from your front porch, from your doorstep. You don't want that. Because for one thing, when those incoming rounds towards you, they're also going to be going through your house. You probably have loved ones in your house. You have things you don't want to get shot in your house. Right? Yes. So you want as much standoff as possible. That's the distance between the enemy and where you are. Now, that is not always feasible for everybody. I talk about this on Patreon and videos on securing neighborhood defense and stuff like that all the time. So if you want to learn more about that, security and home defense, neighborhood defense, check out Patreon. You may have to scroll down a little bit because they're a little bit ago, but not too long ago. Good stuff there. It's $1 a month, hundreds of good videos, a lot more in-depth look at things like that. But anyway, bunkering in. You need things like this right here, firewood. You need the ability to heat your house. You need the ability to stay warm. There's a lot of items you can use to stay warm. Sleeping bags, blankets, quilts, all those kind of things. Yes, I just talked about that on Patreon also, actually, in creating microclimates, micro areas in your residence, and why that's beneficial. But anyway, for here, I'm going to talk about the fact that here at your primary location is where the majority of your supplies are, probably. Hopefully not all. Hopefully you have some other areas also, not all your eggs in one basket. But here you're the most established. It is the easiest place to be able to survive. That may be where your gardens are, your animals. So you don't want to ditch those, right? Because come spring, you want to be able to plant those. And the odds are even if you have a really good bug out location, I have a really good bug out location, but it's still not set up like here. I still don't have a bunch of gardens and raised beds ready to go. I don't have like chicken coops or stuff like that. There'd be more challenges associated with going there or going to my alternate or tertiary bug out locations, because none of them are set up like I am here. And getting there quickly, if you got to go quickly, meaning you're only going to be able to take so much. You're only going to be able to grab what you can grab, so that's not the best situation. Sheltering in place, locking down, is the best option. So, be getting everything you need to do this. Be getting your supplies squared away. Be getting your ability to implement more advanced security features than you may have in place. You don't have to have them in place because they're an eyesore or they're not acceptable for the current situation. But if things de-evolve and we go into a chaotic type situation, it would be more, people would be like, oh yeah, that guy put up a fence with barbed wire on top of it. Well, that's common sense, duh. So they're not going to look at you as crazy. But they'll also know that, okay, if that guy's trying to protect something, he has something worth protecting. So there's two sides to every coin. So you can do other security measures that are less recognizable. Raised beds are a security feature. You're like, how's that? I'll tell you what, because they're all fixed fighting positions. I can lay behind them and have ballistic protection. That's a 2x and a 2x, so two 2-inch thick boards. I get it, not complete 2-inch. Followed by at least 4 feet of dirt in between them. I get it. It's not going to stop everything. But I can move between them without being seen, especially when they're all growing. It provides concealment also. But you got to remember, it also provides concealment from somebody coming in if they're allowed to get to that point. So, look at your security. A lot of stuff is going to be going on, I have a feeling, in a short period of time. We need to be ready. We need to be ready for it. We need to have our food squared away. We need to have ability to cook our food on grid and off grid. Get that squared away right now. If you don't have the ability to cook without power to your house, you got to get that squared away. You got to have a source of heat. You got to have a source of preparing your food. I get it. You're like, okay, well, I have rations and I have canned goods and stuff like that. I don't have to cook. Sure. Short time, that's fine. Short period of time, that's fine. That's okay. At least you have that. But, especially in winter, you want to have things that warm you up. You want to have some hot cocoa. You want to have some coffee. You want to have some soup. You want to have some stew. You want to have a roast. You want to have, things that are warm to warm you up. For morale reasons and just for peace of mind and just the familiarity of it. We don't want everything to be unfamiliar, to be chaotic. We got to have some sense of normalcy. So that's one part of preparing, is to try to achieve that sense of normalcy as much as possible. Another reason is, I think it may be good to be bunkering in now and on the near-term horizon because of just stuff going on and stuff, see the directions we're headed in this country, in the United States, and geopolitical situation in the world, and or the escalation of conflict, the escalation of tyranny, the escalation of chaos, thievery, criminality, violence, all these kind of things that we see on an increase now due to law enforcement a lot of times not being able to respond in time, in a timely manner, because of defunding, because of losing officers, because they won't take the thing, and or just because it's not worth it to them anymore. I wouldn't do it. No way. They can't. They're not allowed to do their jobs anymore. So we got to take care of ourselves. We got to protect ourselves. We got to take care of our families. Get your food squared away. But more important than that even is water. Get your water squared away. Always add to your water. Every time we empty a milk jug, I rinse it out, fill it full of water. I don't worry about sanitizing it because that milk and jugs like that are not potable water for me, not drinking water. That is toilet flushing water. That is gardening water. That is washing clothes water. That is watering the dog's water. I make sure the jug is clean, of course, but I don't worry about the sanitizing of it. But every time I empty a juice bottle, a soda bottle, a whatever bottle that had this food grade, I sanitize it, fill it back with water, throw it in the shed or upstairs food storage or somewhere else, one of other food storage locations. Because we got to have water. I live in the Pacific Northwest. It's raining right now. It rains here all the time. If I wanted to collect a boatload of water, I could just hook a tarp off my awning here and have it run down, angle it into a bucket, and collect tons of water. I can just sit buckets outside and they'll fill full of water. I can get lots of water, but you can never have too much water. 55-gallon drums of water, 30-gallon drums of water, 5-gallon, 6-gallon, those things in the camping sections at like Walmart and or Costco, the stackable ones, the non-stackable ones. I'll tell you another thing I even use, those big, I always get the cat litter in the plastic jugs. Why? Water storage. Seriously, that again is not potable water, it's not drinking water. I just clean it out really well, fill it up, set it off the side, there's some more water for flushing toilets. Because we're on a well, so that's all we need is water. Or we're on a septic, sorry. And or doing all the other things you're going to need water for. You're going to need water for a lot more things than just drinking. So don't just talk about 1 gallon per person per day. Think 3, maybe even 5 to be on the safe side. Very important. Get these things squared away. Get your warming stuff squared away. Your base layers, your thermal layers, your outer layers, your shells, your fleeces, your beanies, your gloves. Don't forget about your gloves and don't forget about your feet. 70% merino wool or better socks is what I recommend personally. I love them. They work really well. Work on your fitness. Work on your diet. Those are key also. It doesn't matter what else is going on in the world. If you're not physically capable of performing the tasks that are going to be required of you, you're going to be worthless. So, keep in mind and look around your surroundings. Look at your property. Look at your house. What do you need to prepare to shelter in place for, say, a month or 2 or 3? And not leave at all, I'm talking about. 0 leaving. Staying in your house or on your property for at least a month. If you don't have the preps to do that, then please go out and get them. Take a serious hardcore look at what you have, what your weaknesses might be, and set yourselves up for success. Because this may be that whole dark winter they're talking about, losing the grid, harsh winter, all these things. We got to take care of ourselves. We got to prepare. I love you guys. Have a wonderful day, and blessings to you and yours.